So that is making piano sounds. Mostly I'm just playing MIDI, terrible MIDI, with this dinky little MIDI keyboard.
Hi, I'm Anna Meredith, and this is my studio.
I'm a composer who writes both notated acoustic, or I guess classical music, but also electronic music. I write for my band, but also write music for other people, like orchestras, and also some installation work. This is one of my sisters, and this ended up being the single artwork for The Vapors, which is a single of mine. Pretty cool. Yeah, anyway, I have a soft spot for this snake. I begin writing one of two ways. Either sometimes have a little tiny idea, which is normally something I've sung into my phone, or if I'm sitting down trying to write, I might sit in front of the piano and get some nice little chords. And then I draw a shape and for the piece with a sort of timeline across the bottom, or it goes the other way around. Sometimes I draw the shape and then I try and make ideas that are gonna fit into that. Then I kind of like to make a sort of mood board, that kind of thing, which might have just some little bits of chords, some words. Once I've got a kind of mood board of different ideas, and normally I work out how they will fit into my shape or my sketch. I then go to the computer and go to Sibelius and put in gazillions of empty bars, and then it's kind of about joining up the gaps. Quite often I'm working backwards from, if I've got an idea of a thing, a big moment, a payoff, I'm trying to work out how to earn that. I'm much better with pressure and a deadline. I need to sort of really wallow in the doing nothing. I almost need to disgust myself by lying on the sofa and watching telly and playing Zelda for days. And so I used to have a friend whose main, I would call him to say, give me the fear, and he'd just bellow terrifying things about you're so behind, you're going to be it's getting so much trouble. He would basically give me a telling off, and at some point I'd be okay, stop, it's too much. But I needed the fear. This year at MIF I am going to be doing Fibs with orchestra, and it's the entire album in album order, start to finish. And we're doing it in Mayfield Depot, which, incredible space. The arrangements of the tracks are brilliant, and they're not backgroundy. It's not like drones and an orchestra sitting at the back. The way we've designed it is so that the band, my band, 5 of us, and the orchestra are equal. I think it'll be, challenging in bits for the orchestra and for us, and this pulling the show together. Music's quite loud, it's intense, it's hopefully joyful in bits and more reflective in other moments. I think it's going to be really, an amazing one-off in this epic space. These are my boom whackers. I haven't used them for a long time. I had I've got a piece called Bubblegum. The sounds, most of the sounds in it are made from sampling a boom whacker, which is basically a kind of designed as a kind of education instrument. Obviously anyone can play it, hit it, and each one is a different pitch. And as they are fairly disgusting giant plastic tubes, there's nowhere else for them to be but here. Sometimes when I'm writing, the instruments I write for might just be 6 pianos, and so I'm checking that the actual content works. And then, eventually I'll put them onto different synths and make sure it works as a combination of electronics and real instruments. But it's about checking the material works, and I almost want to deliberately check that with the most neutral, lots of pianos or bad MIDI instruments, so that I'm not relying on the production too much. I'm not relying on really sexy produced sounds. I'm relying on ingredients. Someone said it seems like you work incredibly hard to write music that feels sort of joyful and spontaneous, and I think that's kind of true. I work my ass off to try and make things feel like they've got lots of energy and spontaneity to them.